Tonight, anger across Quebec after the message of condolence from the head of Air Canada was in English only.
When you've been living in Quebec for 15, 20 years, you should be able to speak the language.
Why it is not the first time Michael Rousseau has faced calls for an apology or resignation. A U.S. jury finds Meta and Google liable for social media harms.
Because of the features alone that drive addiction, these companies can be held accountable.
So should Canada consider a ban for young people?
I am conscious of what my kids are eating, so why wouldn't I be conscious of what they're consuming with their minds?
We look at a new law in Australia. And community pushback on plans for a high-speed railway in this country.
Rural Canada is not here to be sacrificed for city-goers to have easier transportation.
What is at stake for those living beside the tracks?
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrienne Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. Air Canada's CEO is facing intense backlash tonight, including calls for his resignation after his message of condolence to the victims of the crash at Laguardia Airport was delivered only in English. Michael Rousseau spoke just 2 French words in nearly 4 minutes. The plane, which took off from Montreal, crashed into a fire truck on the runway, killing both pilots, Antoine Forêt and Mackenzie Gunther. Forêt was a French speaker from Quebec. Now, criticism has been especially sharp in that province. As Sarah Levitt tells us, this isn't the first time Rousseau has faced scrutiny for not speaking French.
Air Canada already had a terrible human tragedy to deal with following the crash at LaGuardia Airport, which killed 2 pilots and injured many passengers. But the way it's partly handled that has created a political crisis.
Bonjour.
That, along with this.
Merci.
Were the only 2 French words spoken by Michael Rousseau in a video released after the crash. That's put the Air Canada CEO in hot water, particularly in Quebec. One of the plane's pilots, Antoine Forêt, was a francophone from the province.
I'm asking him to quit his job right now.
For sure, he should apologize.
Air Canada should ask him to resign.
In an interview with Radio-Canada, Air Canada's VP of Communications apologized on behalf of the airline and said that despite years of lessons, Rousseau's French was not good enough to discuss such a serious matter. The airline is subject to the Official Languages Act, and now Rousseau has been summoned to Ottawa to explain himself in front of the Official Languages Committee. It's also earned him an admonishment from the Prime Minister.
It doesn't matter the circumstance, but particularly in these circumstances, lack of judgment and lack of compassion.
It's not the first time Rousseau has faced backlash for not speaking French.
C'est un grand plaisir d'être ici.
5 years ago, after a speech in English with a few lines in broken French, he was asked why he wouldn't answer questions in that language.
I've been able to live in Montreal without speaking French.
After an uproar, Rousseau apologized and pledged to take those French lessons. But now many are questioning whether he's done the work.
It's insulting to Quebecers. When you've been living in Quebec for 15, 20 years, you should be able to speak the language. There are migrants that arrive in Quebec that don't know the first thing about the French language, that learn the language, and they don't earn 10 to 12 million per year.
Since the video was released, hundreds of complaints have flooded the office of the Commissioner of Official Languages.
And so, Sarah, there are these calls for Rousseau to resign, but he remains CEO.
Yeah, Air Canada's VP of Communications saying with the airline dealing with the plane crash, Rousseau is needed in his job. Air Canada is a private company, so it'll be up to the board of directors to decide if he should resign or if he decides to do that himself.
All right, thank you. That is Sarah Levitt in Montreal tonight. Social media giants Meta and Google have lost a landmark trial, both liable of causing substantial harm through the design and operation of apps they own. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson on the fallout.
Outside the California courthouse, families celebrating the outcome of a David versus Goliath lawsuit. One 20-year-old woman against 2 social media giants. The jury found Meta and Google liable on all counts after she alleged that the addictive design of their platforms kept her hooked and harmed her mental health.
Just because of the features alone that drive addiction, these companies can be held accountable.
It's been a rough 48 hours for social media companies, Meta in particular. On Tuesday, a New Mexico jury found it violated the state's consumer protection laws and failed to protect children from sexual predators.
It should be a clear signal to everyone in this space and to Mr. Zuckerberg in particular that enough is enough. It's time to change the way they do business.
These lawsuits come hand in hand with mounting medical evidence that social media use can be a contributor to mental health problems in children and youth.
We know that there's a strong correlation with psychiatric symptoms or depressive symptoms, anxiety symptoms, an increase in suicidal ideation, increase in suicidal behavior.
These verdicts only apply to these plaintiffs, but they're showing what's possible for at least 1,500 lawsuits reportedly launched by individuals and groups against the social media firms, including the one by 14 Ontario school boards alleging that the addictive design of social media platforms has rewired children's brains, impacting their ability to learn and socialize.
The jury has come to the same conclusion that we did through our investigative work. So in that sense, it gives us confidence that what we've been saying all along is something that needs to be said and something that needs to be acted on.
Mr. Zuckerberg, did Meta purposely...
Meta and Google say they disagree with the Los Angeles jury's verdict and plan to appeal.
And the jury awarded the woman who has not been identified $3 million in compensatory damages. And Adrienne, they also recommended at least another $3 million in punitive damages.
So you've got a lot of individuals using the courts to have their say, but clearly governments are getting involved as well. And I know you have a story on that coming up a little later.
Yeah, so I went to Australia, which was the first country in the world to introduce an under-16 social media ban. 3 months into the ban, I wanted to see how things were working out and whether this is something that Canada should look into as well.
Okay, looking forward to that. That is in about 30 minutes. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Turning now to the war in the Middle East, Iran says it has rejected the Trump administration's 15-point ceasefire proposal and says the two countries aren't even talking. The White House insists they are talking. Iran, the U.S., and Israel continue to launch attacks, and oil and gas prices continue to bring pain worldwide. Every day that Iran restricts traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, the pressure on the global economy grows. To exert its own pressure on Tehran, the Trump administration is reportedly eyeing an assault on Karg Island, that is Iran's main oil export hub. But now, Iran is warning that if that happens, it will threaten shipping in the Bab el-Mandab Strait, another choke point off the coast of Yemen. If Iran or its proxies close it off as well, the global energy crisis only deepens further. Briar Stewart is at the Turkish-Iranian border, where the hope of a ceasefire meets the fear that this conflict is far from over and even now could escalate.
These images released by Iranian state TV are said to show missiles that were fired at a U.S. aircraft carrier. Consider it a defiant rebuttal to Washington's demand that Tehran admit military defeat. Someone like us will never come to terms with someone like you, said an Iranian military official. Despite weeks of war, for these Iranians, it doesn't appear life has ground to a halt. Even in the capital, some take a moment to soak up a sunny day, but elsewhere the picture is much more grim. Iran says more than 1,500 civilians have been killed, and the damage wrought by thousands of airstrikes is extensive. This video shows the aftermath of a strike on a building linked to the defense sector in the city of Isfahan. Washington insists that Iran's military has been decimated and says despite the country's public pronouncements, discussions are continuing.
We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty details that have been exchanged between the United States and Iran at this time.
There aren't any direct talks taking place between the two sides. Instead, they rely on intermediaries, including Turkey. At the Kapakoi crossing between the two countries, hundreds of Iranians go in and out every day. I don't feel so good, said this woman. We're stressed by the war. I'm afraid for myself and my family. Many here were too fearful to speak to the media. Those who did said despite the bombings, Iranian society was still managing.
There is no problem in the life. Everything is okay.
But do you hear airstrikes? Do you hear bombs?
Yes, every time, every hour.
There are apparently reports that there are negotiations going on.
Yeah. I hope that it will happen very soon and we can come back to our daily life and common life.
Still others say there can be no compromise. They killed our supreme leader, this woman said. Revenge must be taken. Even as the White House says its preference is peace, at least 1,000 elite paratroopers are being sent to the region, alongside thousands of Marines already en route.
When asked why the U.S. is deploying thousands of paratroopers and Marines, the White House press secretary replied that it's because the president likes to maintain his options. Initially, when the Trump administration launched its operation, it said it would take about a month, and we're now in week 4.
And as for ending it, Breyer, the White House, it seems, will not confirm what is in this proposed ceasefire agreement.
Yeah, that's right. They wouldn't get into any specifics publicly, but obviously they're looking for concessions when it comes to Iran's nuclear program and also ballistic missile production. Now, Iran's foreign minister has said that it has no intention of negotiating now.
All right, that is Breyer Stewart in Van Turkey tonight. The RCMP commissioner is responding to a CBC investigation into a program that surveilled and sought to disrupt Indigenous organizations from the late 60s to the early 80s. In a statement, Mike Duhem says, in part, I express sincere regret, and while we cannot change the past, we can and must acknowledge that these actions and their impact continue to be felt today. He also says he and the public safety minister intend to hold a meeting with elders and Indigenous leadership. And local police say they are investigating the shooting death of a Canadian teen in the Dominican Republic. According to officials, 19-year-old Tristan Primo-Poitras from Quebec was out in the early hours of Monday morning with his older brother when they were chased by 2 people on a motorcycle. No arrests have been reported so far. Back in this country, with home sales slumping, Ontario Premier Doug Ford has an agreement with Prime Minister Mark Carney to offer a major tax break to buyers. Nisha Patel explains who qualifies and for how long.
New home construction in Ontario is in a serious downturn. Building projects have been shelved. Thousands of jobs are at risk. Now the province hopes to boost the market.
No matter if you're a first-time buyer, second, or a 10-time buyer, you're getting the HST deducted.
The Ontario government plans to expand the 13% harmonized sales tax rebate. Anyone buying a new house or condo valued at $1.5 million or less could get up to $130,000 back. There will also be reduced rebates for higher-priced homes. The tax relief starts April 1st and will be valid for 1 year.
It'll definitely spur more home buying, which ultimately creates more construction activity, and that's what we need to get all of our team and all of our trades back to work.
The province estimates the rebate will cost $2.2 billion and could kickstart the building of 8,000 new homes.
They've really structured this like a pilot program, and I think that's smart because we don't really know how effective this will be.
Experts say the expanded rebate is a good start, but there's more to be done to boost housing supply, like cutting development charges and speeding up city approvals.
If this doesn't work, it will not work because it doesn't go far enough. That homes are still too expensive for middle-class families to afford.
Those sky-high home prices and a shaky economy mean for many Canadians, buying a home still feels out of reach.
Especially people like my age, it's so hard to buy a house these days.
You still got to get the down payment, all this stuff, right? So just that day-to-day living is still tough.
Ontario says the federal government has agreed to share the costs of the rebate. When asked whether that help would expand outside of Ontario, the federal housing minister would only say Ottawa is working with all the provinces to support the housing market. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
For the first time since her mother went missing, Today Show host Savannah Guthrie sat down for an interview, issuing a renewed plea for answers.
Someone needs to do the right thing. We are in agony. And in the darkness, I imagine her terror.
Nancy Guthrie was last seen on February the 1st at her home in Tucson, Arizona. Investigators believe the 84-year-old was taken against her will. The family is offering $1 million for information that leads to her return. Well, Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre are back to clashing after a public show of rapport. The political rivals traded barbs in their first question period since the spring break. Kate McKenna looks at the shift in tone.
It's back to business as usual, with the Conservative leader and Prime Minister sparring in question period.
Same old Liberals, same old failures. Why is it that after this Prime Minister promised that he'd be the first, he's the worst in the G7?
Yeah. This country's created over 80,000 jobs since August. Let's look at what's happened to wages in this country. They are growing the highest in years.
It's an apparent end to a brief and unusual window. The Conservative leader offering public praise for the Prime Minister.
We disagree on our politics, but we're both fathers. We're both proud Canadians, and in that sense, I think there's a mutual respect.
Saying repeatedly when it comes to Canada-U.S. relations, the two leaders are working in tandem.
Even in my visit down here, I'm sending him text messages to tell him what's going on, to try and support his work.
I look forward to meeting with him to report on my findings, to compare notes.
At this week's National Prayer Breakfast, they shared a moment before Carney shouted out Poilievre's favorite philosopher in his remarks.
I know there's some Stoics in the room, so I will close by channeling Marcus Aurelius. Arise for the work of humankind. Be humble. However grand you are today, or maybe to become tomorrow, you too will be forgotten.
It's part of, I think, a pretty significant strategy change for Poilievre.
Veteran political journalist Paul Wells says Poilievre is adapting to a new political reality.
He was on the record as saying that he would do almost the exact opposite of everything that Justin Trudeau did, which makes sense when he was dealing with a very unpopular opponent. Carney's more centrist than Trudeau was and is more popular.
In recent weeks, Pierre Poilievre has shown other signs of change, doing interviews with a wide range of media outlets, taking a stronger position on Donald Trump, and promising to cooperate with the Liberals when it makes sense. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
There's new research out tonight about links between early menopause and heart disease.
Women have been vastly understudied in cardiovascular science for decades.
Why scientists say more research is crucial. Next. Plus, as Ottawa moves forward with a plan for high-speed rail, there's pushback from those who could be in its path.
Rural Canada is not here to be sacrificed for citygoers to have easier transportation.
Why some worry this could tear communities apart. And later, a BC man goes big for his 80th birthday.
I'm kind of known as the crazy old man of Quesnel that does crazy stuff.
The colossal carrot cake baked in his honor. We're back in 2.
High in the air to deep left center field, and Vladdy is ready for opening day.
Ooh, and not just any opening day. This Friday will mark the beginning of the Toronto Blue Jays' 50th season. And after last season's World Series run, plus some new high-profile acquisitions like pitcher Dylan Cease, the Jays will be looking to take this season one step further. Well, a new U.S. study suggests women who experience premature menopause, usually before age 40, are more likely to develop heart disease later in life. Tashana Reid looks at the elevated risks and the calls for greater awareness.
Heart disease. It's a leading cause of premature death in women, and menopause can elevate that risk.
We've known that the connection there exists. We know that premature menopause raises risk for heart disease.
Researchers at Chicago's Northwestern University looked at the data of 10,000 American women over 5 decades. Women who had premature menopause, which means before the age of 40, had a 40% higher lifetime risk of heart attack. The study did not include women who went into menopause after surgery.
Women have been vastly understudied in cardiovascular science for decades. So we have lots to learn.
During menopause, estrogen, which protects the heart, starts to drop, and that shift can lead to many symptoms.
Pretty significant hot flashes and, kind of fogginess, some challenges with mental acuity, I would say.
Jennifer Carana experienced menopause at 46 and already has a pre-existing heart condition.
It worries me because I think there's a lot we don't know.
It's a very significant issue.
Cardiologist Dr. Jody Heshka says more research and education around the unique risks during this life stage is critical.
We see that the incidence of heart disease increases, the incidence of hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol levels, all start to increase around the time of menopause.
She adds that women tend to be underdiagnosed and undertreated, and it's important for clinicians to consider these risks.
We can be more aggressive on asking about risk factors, asking about reproductive history, factoring it into our assessments.
While research still needs to be done to understand why menopause has an impact on our hearts, doctors say maintaining a healthy diet, regular exercise, and avoiding smoking all can make a difference. Tashana Reid, CBC News, Toronto.
Investigators are trying to piece together the chain of events that led to the deadly Air Canada collision at Laguardia Airport.
300 approaching minimums.
Roger that. And runway visual landing.
Insights from a flight simulation about what the pilots were facing. Plus, months after Australia banned social media use for those under 16, we check in to see how that is working.
I am conscious of what my kids are eating, so why wouldn't I be conscious of what they're consuming with their minds?
Could Canada follow Australia's lead? The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. Backlash is growing in rural communities over a proposed high-speed rail line between Toronto and Quebec City. It's been billed as a nation-building project, but as Dan Takema shows us, some say it could tear their communities apart.
Marcus Hefela's family has been farming near Ottawa for decades, but now he worries their property could be cut in half by a high-speed train.
Rural Canada is not here to be sacrificed for citygoers to have easier transportation.
Their farm is one of thousands of properties that fall along the rough rail corridor being studied by Alto, the Crown Corporation behind the project that will connect Toronto and Quebec City with 5 stops along the way. It's an idea that's popular in urban centers like Gatineau.
Getting onto the train, arriving downtown in the other city, it's just comfortable and easy.
It'll be a game changer.
But outside cities, there's been a different response. Farmers near Mirabel, Quebec protested with tractors. And in eastern Ontario, neighbors in this village near Kingston gather on weekends, making their objections loud and clear.
No Alto! I consider it the Great Wall of Alto. It's going to divide these communities.
That's one of the main concerns. A more than 3-meter high fence will surround the tracks, which could slow down everything from school buses to ambulances. There's a bigger fear, too.
That's going to be a nightmare. They're going to expropriate homes.
Alto says its goal is to pick the route with the least impact, but it insists that the project must move ahead.
That's why we consult, we amend, we change, and we represent, and we'll do the best thing for Canada.
For Hefela, what's best for the country shouldn't come at the expense of farmers.
Canada is largely composed of rural areas, and for that to be sacrificed is shameful.
Alto plans to lay track between Ottawa and Montreal first, with environmental assessments set to begin this spring. A clearer picture of what the rest of the route is going to look like isn't expected until next year. Dan Takema, CBC News, Kingston, Ontario.
As a U.S. court holds big tech accountable for harming kids, a closer look at one country with a social media ban for kids under 16. Advocates praise a landmark court decision ruling tech companies prioritize profits over children's safety.
The tide's turning on big tech for sure.
We will take you to Australia to examine that country's attempt to protect kids from addictive social media. But first,
It's heading across in front of us, and we are hitting the fire truck right now.
What the pilots would have seen moments before that deadly collision at New York's LaGuardia Airport when a landing Air Canada jet slammed into a fire truck crossing the runway. Ashley Fraser visited a flight simulator with an experienced pilot to break down those tense final moments of Flight 8646.
300 approaching minimums.
Roger that.
This is the nighttime approach at LaGuardia Airport.
And runway visual landing.
And similar to what the two pilots, Antoine Ferrer and Mackenzie Gunther, would have seen on Sunday night.
50, 40, 30.
We're inside a simulation. This is the cockpit of a Boeing 737. That's Erin Murphy, our pilot.
And taxiway Delta right here. Envision a fire truck right here, the size of a bus. And that's what they had to deal with.
So really fast. I mean, that wasn't that long. That was what, 10 seconds?
Probably less than 10 seconds. I
Yeah.
think the NTSB has reported initially, their initial findings was that it was an 8-second period of time from the touchdown to the collision.
And you've been sort of looking at where the fire truck would have been and what they would have seen. So
That's right. We could take you over to the firehouse and see what they would have seen on runway 4.
As we wait for investigators to understand the exact circumstances that led to this, Murphy shows us a perspective we haven't seen yet.
So this is the path that the fire truck would have taken.
That's right. Picture twice as many lights, because this is not an accurate simulation for the lighting, and everything's wet. There's reflections everywhere. You have a quick look. You're already cleared across, but you're trained to take a look both ways. You do it. They did it.
So we're at the center line. This would have been roughly where the accident occurred.
That's correct.
Would there been, prior to this, any possibility of them curving out of the way, going around?
Go around requires the aircraft to come out of reverse. So as we're touching down, reversers come up, the spoilers are up, and during the landing, the aircraft, you are focused on decelerating the aircraft. It's not like you have to do an emergency deceleration. We have the whole runway. We can just decelerate nice and gently. And the passengers appreciate it when we don't slam the brakes on and throw them against the seat in front of them, right? It's just the way you do it, nice and smooth. But once you've gotten to a certain level of energy loss in the aircraft, the flight controls are no longer flying. And I have to somehow get this thing in the air at the speed where it's allowed to fly at. There's not enough energy. You're slowing down to the point where the truck pops out.
There's no way of just...
All we can do is hit the brakes, because I know from my training there's nothing left to do except hit the brakes. You can try to steer on the wet runway. The nose gear probably just turns and slides on the wet tarmac.
Right.
But it could not have been any more perfectly timed for an impossible recovery.
Many of the passengers and many people have said that those pilots are heroes for the way they landed that plane.
Absolutely.
What do you make of that?
They gave it all for the safety of their passengers. They're heroes. Absolutely they are.
So why is it important to do a simulation like this to sort of understand what really happened? Why do this?
Well, this is exactly what the NTSB is going to do. They're going to put all these parameters into a simulator, and they're going to play it over and over and over in the exact way each of the components comes together in this accident. And that's how they discover what happened. And then they will make recommendations. And I hope one of the recommendations is ground stops when there's an emergency on the field. We can show people how this happened, and we can also bring down the anxiety levels for people that are a little bit nervous about flying and say, this is extremely rare, extremely rare. But it can't happen again. It can't. It cannot. We must make sure we learn from this and we make the changes that are required to not have this happen again.
The LaGuardia tragedy is the stuff, obviously, of nightmares for air traffic controllers, too. Lindsay Duncombe spoke to people with decades of experience in the tower to find out what they're thinking about in the wake of that deadly crash.
Stop, truck one. Stop. Stop, truck one. Stop. I messed up.
3 words: I messed up. The air traffic controller's admission haunts McGill Aviation instructor John Graddick.
He uttered the terms,
I messed up. So to me, there was a lot of anguish and a lot of anxiety, concern on his voice.
What do you think about the conversation now? What else are they going to be looking at?
If you have any conclusions at this point.
Braddock listened to that audio, interview after interview.
It was a difficult night to sleep. A lot of, concern, anxiety. I would even call it a bit of PTSD.
What makes this tragedy so hard for the people who teach air traffic controllers is that what happened at LaGuardia appears to be the worst case scenario, the kind of thing all that technology and training is supposed to prevent.
This is a human factors case, as far as I'm concerned. It's not technology. People made decisions.
I put myself in his position and think to myself, that is probably the most significant and the worst thing that can happen to a controller.
Michael McCormick teaches at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Florida. He used to work for the Federal Aviation Authority. He's the guy who decided to close New York airspace on September 11th. What struck him about what happened at LaGuardia is that it appears the air traffic controller kept working in the immediate aftermath.
There are 2 people assigned to the control tower on a midnight shift. So there's not someone there immediately available to provide relief when that is going on.
That, he says, would not be unusual on an overnight shift, but not standard practice in the daytime. The investigation is just beginning. It's too soon to say if staffing levels contributed to what happened. But both Canada and the United States don't have enough air traffic controllers and are actively recruiting.
Anytime you have a profession that is short-staffed, and if you're chronically short-staffed across a large reach of the profession, it's going to have impact.
Harvey Skolnick worked as an air traffic controller and instructor for decades. He worries the LaGuardia incident could harm American recruitment.
Well, I can't see how it will help. The morale is very low. They see no light at the end of the tunnel to working mandatory 6-day weeks and often 10-hour days. And they see that the hiring of controllers barely meets the standard they're already 3,000 low.
Make this as attractive a role as you possibly can.
But McGill's John Braddock disagrees.
We're more interested in your potential than the list of courses you took in school.
He likes NAV Canada's recruiting campaign.
You'll see NAVCAN ads for traffic controllers, salaries ranging from 150 to 200,000 plus. They're not shying away from putting money where their mouth is and offering good pay.
What happened at LaGuardia will no doubt be taught, a lesson about how high the stakes are in a demanding, intense, and understaffed profession.
Officials say Canada is about 200 employees short. The deficit in the U.S. is said to be between 3,000 and 4,000. Coming up, critics of Australia's social media ban question whether it's the most effective way to reduce online harms.
I am conscious of what my kids are eating, so why wouldn't I be conscious of what they're consuming with their minds?
Why some say it's the responsibility of parents, not the government, to regulate online activity. That's next. Tech giants found liable in a landmark social media addiction trial.
Putting kids' lives at risk and making money off of it.
The ruling coming just months after Australia banned social media use for kids to protect their mental health, their safety, and their well-being.
This reform will change lives.
Deanna Sumanak-Johnson traveled down under to find out how the ban is working and examine the growing global momentum to implement similar laws, maybe even here in Canada.
This is the Sydney home of Michael Whipley, his wife Lisa, and their 3 children.
Is that your library book? Pass it to me.
As they go through the morning rush before school, packing lunches and talking activities, there's also a bit of video game time on their tablets. What you won't see, though, is scrolling through social media feeds. Their dad, a popular radio personality in Australia,
Oh, great game.
poured his passion as a parent into advocacy for age restriction for social media use.
I just had this major fear of sitting back and thinking the strangers that you wouldn't welcome into your house are being welcomed onto their screens, and it's out of my control. That was what scared the hell out of me.
Together with a colleague, he started a petition to get the government to up the required age to open a social media account. The petition got close to 150,000 signatures and, along with other advocates and the backing of doctors and scientists, helped bring about Australia's social media ban for kids under 16.
I mean, the feeling when the law was changed on December 10 was just a relief. That's what it felt like. It felt like some clear airspace, some cover for the parents to be able to say, no, we're not doing that anymore because it's against the law.
It was a world first.
Make no mistake, this reform will change lives.
A move the government said was necessary to stem harms like the addictive nature of the platforms, cyberbullying, and mental health issues.
Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, X, Threads, Reddit, and Kik as age-restricted platforms.
In early December, millions of accounts belonging to under 16s started shutting down, eliciting cheers from advocates and tears from many teens.
For me, it was my community and my lifeline.
All right, grab your bags, guys, let's do it.
3 months later, Michael Whipley says the ban is a work in progress, but overall, making a change.
Michael, tell me, how can you tell that it's working?
So I've got great personal examples of teachers saying they have greater concentration in classrooms. You know, I have mums messaging saying, today we played in the backyard as a family. We threw a ball and created a ridiculous game we've never done before because we haven't spent the time doing that because the kids are off the screen.
But he says he's not blind to the flaws, including many teens reporting they were able to hack their way around the ban and open an account anyway. He says he sees this law as a good start, something the government can tweak along the way. As a father, he feels comforted the restrictions are in place.
I've got an 11-year-old and a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old who, when it comes to their age of 13 and possibly 16 and wanting to get on social media, it's not going to be a thing, especially for the 5-year-old, because we change the law, then we have to change the behaviour, and the behaviour change will take time.
But while some parents feel that the ban is on the whole doing what it's supposed to, others say it's just not working.
How was school?
Pretty good. I got my test result back today. Did pretty good. I got 88.
Kate Gotham is a mom of 3 boys. Her eldest, now 16, was 15 at the time the ban kicked in.
The social media ban was a bit of a non-event for our family. We instead have policed our kids, parented our kids online always. We didn't notice any difference.
And tell me, Ilyas, for you, how difficult or easy was it to access social media while you were still 15?
Oh, very easy. I didn't find any troubles. That could have been because I'd set all my accounts to an older age, but I don't know. I heard that people had to scan their faces and stuff, but I never had to do that.
At the end of the day, says Gotham, what kids do online should be the parents' responsibility, not the government's.
I think of just all screen time and social media as more what you consume, and I am conscious of what my kids are eating, so why wouldn't I be conscious of what they're consuming with their minds?
University of Sydney researcher Timothy Koski says the ban's real intent was never about changing the behavior of teens. It was about getting big tech to take responsibility, something that he says is happening.
Whether or not teens are universally off and, cut off from those social connections that they've had instantaneously and completely, well, I can't say. It doesn't appear to have happened, but that doesn't mean nothing has happened.
When it comes to gauging if the ban is working in the long run, he has some different metrics in mind.
We had these risks that were named, and they are existential risks. There are kids committing suicide and or being exposed to eating disordered content. That was the impetus for the law. I want to see those numbers go down.
He also suggests looking at standardized testing in schools.
But so many issues being reported about issues of attention span, kids not being able to dedicate enough attention to their educational responsibilities and needs.
And while that conversation is taking place in Australia, people in other countries are paying close attention. In Canada, some parents would like a ban of our own.
Our children do not have a stand against these powerful technologies, and puberty is a time in their lives that needs to be protected because that's when they are the most vulnerable.
Vancouver-based Jenny Perez is mom to 10-year-old Susanna and founder of Unplugged Canada, a cross-country parent network advocating for age restrictions on the use of social media.
We know about what happened with tobacco, with drunk driving, and many other topics that require the norm to change. And I learned that things change only if we all as a society step up, including parents, schools, leaders of the community, and government and experts, right?
There are indications there's a thirst for a ban of this kind in Canada beyond groups like Jenny Perez's. A new Laguardia poll surveyed around 1,500 Canadian adults and found 90% of respondents believe there should be a minimum age for social media use. 14 Ontario school boards have launched a class action lawsuit against the social media companies, alleging the platforms are designed to be addictive and have rewired the way children think, behave, and learn. On the federal government side, there have been rumblings about a possible new bill restricting social media for teens coming soon. But asked about it earlier this month, the Prime Minister was more vague about when and how it would happen.
We're coming here from Australia, which in many respects pioneered this approach, an age of majority. I think this is something that merits an open and considered debate in Canada. I don't have a settled view on it. There are arguments in both directions.
An email from the Office of Canadian Identity and Culture Minister Mark Miller said, "Our government intends to act swiftly to better protect Canadians, especially children, from online harm. No decisions have been made, and we will have more details to share in due course." The delay in this country is causing parents like Jenny Perez some frustration.
I would like the Prime Minister to move this forward as soon as possible. Big tech is probably the most powerful industry in the world, so they have a lot of power to fight this. So what we need is to stand strong and don't let that happen.
Still, the fire of this cause that started in Australia is spreading around the world. Indonesia just banned social media access for kids under 16. In France, the National Assembly passed the ban for under 15s, which is now in Senate for final approval. Spain, Portugal, Greece, Turkey all have bills or submissions for potential laws of their own.
Now, members of the Liberal Party will debate and vote on age restrictions at their annual convention next month. Coming up, a local bakery owner celebrates his 80th birthday with a pretty hefty carrot cake in BC.
We made 432 sheet cakes, 1,800 pounds of carrots.
What does that make? A giant 6,000-pound cake. Next in our moment. Oh, would you look at that? That is a 6,000-pound carrot cake. Yeah, you heard me. 6,000 pounds baked for a milestone birthday in Quesnel, BC. So the owner of a local bakery, of course, Ted Martindale, turns 80 years old today. Happy birthday, Ted. So he decided what better way to celebrate than cutting a cake with his whole community and attempting to break a world record in the process. His big birthday cake makes our moment.
My wife wondered what I would do for my 80th birthday. I decided that for some strange reason, we were going to beat the world record for the largest carrot cake ever made. So we built one that's 6,000 pounds, which beats the previous record by 1,500 pounds. It was about a month process. We made 432 sheet cakes, 1,800 pounds of carrots. And then it was like building brickwork yesterday. It took 14 hours, 12 people to assemble this cake, but nothing's going to waste. They got one day to get rid of it. I'm kind of known as the crazy old man of Quesnel that does crazy stuff. And I'm proud to be known as that. It was just a way for me to share this milestone birthday with everybody. And also I like to brag, hey, I made it to 80, look at me. It's just wound up really fun and happy event.
Hey, happy birthday, Ted. This is great. And he's right. None of it is going to waste. I think they had the party today. They're cutting the cake tomorrow and distributing it to everyone, including food banks. So everyone in Quesnel, line up. From all of us at The National, thanks for being with us. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.